Окей, мне кажется, я смог его победить. Теперь можно смотреть. Now you can watch it in 1080p. Yay! Success. The resolution has been fixed, I think. Well, that was hard, but we succeeded. So now we are ready to actually tweet about this. So some link for sharing this would be nice. How do I share it? Okay. It just took me 20 minutes to figure out that some setting was not saved, because I edited during streaming and then it was just not doing anything. Okay. Yeah, I managed to fix it. Some setting was not saved because I edited it while I was streaming, and then when I went to check it after I stopped streaming, it still claimed that it was changed, but then nothing really worked. The canvas was actually like the scene canvas, the output resolution was already scaled, but it claimed that it is not scaled. So I had to change it back and forth for a couple of times before it's saved. Yeah, success, I guess. Success. Now you can read the markdown I'm writing, so I can just get back to writing markdown. love WASM GC. I mean, we are implementing the WASM GC backend for Dart. I think it's a fantastic extension of capabilities for WASM. I don't really care much about linear memory WASM because I don't have that many use cases for it. What can you compile? C or C++ for WASM? That's a limited amount of target. You can compile Rust. I mean, I cannot stand Rust, but you can compile Rust if you want to linear memory WASM. But with GC, you can finally target it with proper languages like Dart or Java or Kotlin or many other languages that need GC, so that you can write code in them. So I think it's great that WASM GC is happening. I support this with all my hands. And we are working with people implementing WASM GC in V8 to make sure that it's a great target for Dart. Yeah, so WASM GC, thumbs up. Yeah, and if you don't need GC, you just don't use GC, right? So if you have C++ or Rust or C or assembly script, yeah, you can take Clojure Dart, compile Clojure to Dart, and then that to WASM, so you can already do it. How about that? So you can already use Clojure Dart. I don't know if you have tried that. I have not tried it, but seems to work. People write Flutter apps in Clojure. I'm a big fan of languages that target Dart, because then more people can use Flutter and Dart, even though they write them in with a lot of parentheses and stuff like that. But yeah, I personally not the biggest fan of Lisp-like languages, but I can understand the appeal, and if people like that, why not? They can use Flutter on top of, and write on top of Flutter using Lisp-based language. So yeah, okay. So I did some comment on the GitHub. Now I'm gonna start writing some markdown here. Make a markdown. Well, that's nice. I changed the resolution of my screen, so now everything is gigantic, which is great for my eyesight. Ta-da! Oh, GC. It's the Dart GC is not pauseless. It doesn't provide any sort of pause bound guarantees. It tries to minimize pauses, like there is a concurrent marking for the big collections. Scavenge requires copying right now, though we are working on shifting towards a design that would allow us to not copy the whole new space during the scavenge. But yeah, there is no guarantees of not having a pause. If your mutator is allocating very heavily and the size of the heap is large, then eventually you will hit a pause, I think, because you will just and if you go close to the limit that you have set for the memory, then you will hit this, you know, bad behaviors. But I know how often that actually happens in reality, especially because the Dart heaps are not so large. The Dart heaps, like Flutter is mostly used on mobile devices, and on mobile devices, the heaps are not so big. I mean, in most applications, some applications need larger heaps, but it's not going to be hundreds gigabytes or terabytes of memory. Yeah. Well, Arc is has this problem that like reference counting in general has this problem that reference cycles, they need to be somehow dealt with, and Arc is not cheap, right? You need to have reference counting updates, so that costs. When the reference count decrement happens and the object is freed, you have a cascade of reference count decrements, and if your object graph is large, that would be kind of like a micro pause. Then if the GC is non-moving, then you also get some problems with fragmentation and stuff like that. Yeah, and finally, reference counting cannot deal with cycles between objects. Yeah, I mean, any automatic memory management technique is a cascade of cache misses, because the garbage collector is the worst thing that can happen. Well, the garbage collector is the worst thing that can happen to your memory usage pattern, because it just goes and traverses the whole heap. Reference counting in this sense is better, because if you are in kind of stable state, you don't touch parts that are just sitting around all that much. So yeah. And garbage collector just constantly touches everything all the time, periodically goes through the whole heap, right, as you allocate. So yeah, I guess if you don't allocate, then you can kind of stabilize in terms of your memory throughput, that you don't actually touch things that you not gonna use. Yeah, where was I? Yeah, so the reference counting has this problem with loops, cycles between the object, like one object owns another object, and that object owns directly or indirectly the first object. And the way you solve it usually is you say, well, this connection between these two objects are weak, and it gets just ignored for purposes of reference counting and nulled out when the thing goes away. It's very gnarly. It's not, at least I personally think it's not pleasant to work with. But I do like the fact that reference counting gives you this immediacy in reclamation, that you kind of know that, okay, I stopped using something, it's going to be deleted right there. Yeah. There are garbage collectors that try to combine some of the kind of reference counting and garbage collection together, which is interesting, but I have never tried to implement one of those or and see how it behaves in the wild. I think it could be interesting, but there are so many other interesting things to do, so yeah. Okay, back to writing some markdown. Just want to check something and then I'll start typing some markdown stuff. So you like OKML? I thought OKML is just a typical Mark sweep GC. At least the like Jane Street OKML implementation is the main thing. Yeah, I don't think they use reference counting. They use a fairly standard GC. That's all the papers I read about OKML, or like I'm just trying to look it up. Yeah. So if you read the block here, it says collection of the major heap in OKML is incremental, which means the collection of the major heap can be done blah 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 blah. So I think it's just a fairly off-the-mill concurrent was probably incremental collector. So definitely not reference counting, because it would also suffer the problem with cycles. Yeah, it's actually the Jane Street experiments are very interesting with this modes, I think they call it. Yeah, this one. This is very, very interesting. I find hello. I find the way they do it with yet another signature on top of the existing type signature is a bit gnarly, but I think it's very interesting. I'm not sure it would swing, like it would work with Dart. It's way too complicated, I think, to just retrofit it into Dart, but it's definitely something that I'm interested in. And yeah, it would be nice to have a way in Dart to guarantee that some structures are stack allocated, or that objects are inlined into other objects, so you don't have to chase pointers to access them. Python has a hybrid garbage collector which uses reference counting and cycle collector. So out of the mainstream languages, I think that's one classical example of a language like this. I'm not sure what PHP uses now. PHP also has reference counting, and people actually write code with the expectation of immediate reclamation, I think. So they cannot just move to the non-reference counting GC. I remember reading some stuff from Facebook about HHVM, where, I mean, you have to deal, it adds complexity. You need to deal with the reference counting. So That's an interesting question. What glasses do I wear? It's I think it's a local company here in Denmark. Yeah. Let me look it up. They 3D print their glasses, and that's why they're very lightweight. I really like that. Something like this. Oh, monocool. Yeah, I think that's the glasses I wear. And these ones are specifically what? No, I need to know the product codes. What is the product code here? Temple code. Oh, they're here on the nose, SE97. Yeah, I think this, oh, it's called Sledgehammer. Okay, this is fun. Yeah, I think these are the glasses I wear. Yeah, local company in Denmark. I'm not sure where exactly it is located. We can check. Yeah, looks like some typical Danish farm here. The page can't load. Okay, they did not pay for the maps widget. Yeah, that's pretty cool. They're just in the middle of nowhere. Yeah, Copenhagen is here. And they are all the way up here. So if you want the glasses like this, you can you can just buy them somewhere or online. Yeah. I do like their glasses also because they have this very interesting the side is oriented in a different way, so it's very thin when you look at it this way. Yeah. And if you see, my glasses also kind of giving the blue reflection. That happens because they have some blue light filter on them. Okay, now I got distracted. Now I'm gonna be looking at the glasses. Okay, I'll just remove this here and go back. Yeah, I use arrows. I mean, the arrows are positioned like there is a up and down on one side and left to right is on the other side, so it's not that different from using HJKL. I mean, so yeah, I'm not a VI keyboard bindings person. I used to use VI, but I knew how to enter the edit mode and then how to exit it and how to quit VI. That's approximately where my knowledge of VI ends. I can delete a line. I can search and replace in VI. But even in VI, I just use arrows to navigate around, not HJKL. So what do I want to say? Yeah. Okay. So what do we propose? I find this font very big. Make this smaller. Oh no. Oh, okay, I can zoom out. Shift command minus. Yeah, I am. It is about sharing memory between islets, except in a slightly different way. I'm trying to write a proposal where, yeah, I would, argue for extending Dart with the multi-thread, like shared memory multi-threading in a way that would allow you to write shared memory Dart in an isolated fashion. We'll see where it goes. I do listen to the music, but listening to the music when streaming is a bit complicated. Also, my headphones run out of battery. I forgot to charge them, so now I'm without a music. Yeah. Well, I need to write it down and present it and then see what people on the language team think. I brainstormed yesterday a little bit on the whiteboard. And it seems like an interesting option. It's kind of taking a layered approach where you have a layer of Dart which can multi-thread and a layer of Dart which remains in the isolate. But I need to iron the details out because it's, I think, this there is a lot of semantical questions that need to be answered. And that's why I'm sitting here trying to write the markdown, which collects all of my thoughts on paper. Oh, hello, Mr. Zimmer. How you doing? Where are you on this globe? Oh, yeah, that's not so far indeed. It's a very short and cheap flight if you fly with Ryanair to Stansted. There is a direct flight. I want to check something. Oh, where did my markdown go? Okay. Markdown. Okay, back to the thing. Yeah, Tipora is a local markdown editor, that's what I use. Actually, it's a good reminder that I should save my document. Are there many Russian-speaking people on the Dart team? There are some. There is some amount, like everywhere. I wouldn't say many, but there are some. So, would it actually work? That's the question I have. I think it will. So now let's just keep track of what I need to describe. How does it work with built-in objects? List map. The pipe operator. Oh, I don't know. What do you want the pipe operator for? Is it gonna make your life a million times easier? Is there a proposal for the pipe operator in Dart? Oh, there is a proposal from 2014. It's very big font. Let's make it smaller. Yeah, it's still open. And there have been even updates just a year ago. But I think there's just no feeling that it's going to significantly improve the life of anybody. Lasse, who is on the language team, he in 2021 he wrote, "I'm actually starting to lean towards pipe being an unsatisfactory primitive, one where every use case has a better alternative." So I think that's the answer why there is no pipe operator. Fun bit of trivia: Patrice Chalin, who filed this this issue in 2024, maybe probably earlier. This was when it was migrated by the bot, so probably he filed it earlier. He was also the person who wrote the first proposal for null safety in Dart. He had this very nice, very detailed proposal for null safety, and yeah. And many years later, we have implemented it. Not his proposal, but yeah, but something that, like, look at this. There are 65 pages of text, which is very thoughtful, actually. And yeah, so maybe eventually we'll also get to implement the pipe operator. Though I would not hold my breath waiting for it to happen. Okay, so yeah, I will probably post it as an issue on the language repo. I just want to edit it locally rather than on the GitHub interface. And or I can maybe copy paste it in the Google Doc and then share the Google Doc for commenting purposes. It's just easier to edit it outside of the web browser environment. do you spend? I spend my free time with my family. I have a son and wife, and yeah. Otherwise, I read books or exercise, which is something I'm gonna do maybe in half an hour from now. I will go actually exercise. I also play Magic the Gathering when I have time, though not so often as I would like to. No, I don't play computer games. The only thing I play on the computer is Magic the Gathering online, but also not very often. I spend enough time on the computer that playing computer games somehow does not resonate with me. So I don't remember what was the last computer game I played. I probably was in the university or something. I think the last computer game I enjoyed was Heroes of Might and Magic 3 or something like that. I'm really behind on the stuff. I mean, was there anything better than Heroes of Might and Magic 3? I don't think so. That's just the best game in the world. Probably. I mean, is there an interesting strategy that I thought strategies died basically? Like there are no good turn-based strategies that were released after 2010 or something like that. Yeah, I mean that's a classic, right? Okay, actually I lied. I even played it like maybe 2 years ago. I bought some bundle on Good Old Games with Heroes of Might and Magic 3, and I played it. So I did play some games, but yeah. Oh yeah, also Alpha Centauri, Sid Meier's Alpha Centauri. I played that. Even also like 1 year ago. I also like that game a lot. But other than that, like, it's all very old games. Like when was the Alpha Centauri released? Yeah. 12th February 1999. That was the real stuff. I remember buying a CD in there, which of course was absolutely legally imported to, yeah. It was sold in the, yeah, somewhere in the metro in some kiosk. It was a fantastic game. So it's like just 24 years old game, soon 20, yeah, 25-year-old game. But it's just so cool. And when was Heroes of Might and Magic released? Three. Yeah, also 99. So I guess a lot of games that I actually liked were the games that I played when I was, yeah, 13 years old. Because that's when I mostly played games. Okay, so what am I thinking here? On YouTube. Well, on YouTube I also mostly watch Magic the Gathering. So now when I would go exercise, I would watch some Magic the Gathering games. So I have yeah. For example, I watch these channels a lot because this guy plays a lot of Legacy and I'm quite interested in Legacy. I enjoy watching Legacy. No, the text editor that I'm using is just Tipora, but I did write my own text editor, which I want to use to make notes, stuff like that, track my personal knowledge stuff. But I had to choose between finishing it and actually writing some proposal for Dart language changes, and I decided that I'm not gonna right now spend time on finishing my editor. I will focus on actually doing my job and trying to get a proposal out for shared memory multi-threading. So yeah, but I will continue to work on that as well, because I would like to have a tool that does the things that I wanted to do, and it's not bloated as all these Electron apps like Obsidian, and it is not only browser based like Roam Research and stuff like that. Yeah, so I will work on that. So maybe one of the Fridays I will stream the hacking on that. Yeah, Arthur, yeah, it was on the Flutter. I can show it. Is it here? No. pressed it twice. Now it's trying to launch it 2 times. I mean, it's just a bunch of hacked stuff. I really need to clean it up. I mostly wanted to do a prototype, proof of concept, because last time I tried, Flutter on desktop was not really ready for these things. Like none of the hot keys for editing, like copy and paste, go to the beginning, go to the end, up, and like a lot of things just didn't work on desktop. And these days they work. I think I killed it by doing two launches at the same time. So how about I just stop it? Stop it. Something is wrong with my Flutter installation, just don't know. Oh yeah, and I edited the file in such a way that it broke it. Yeah, it's in a broken state. Let me just repair it a bit. Yeah, how do I do that? Oh, I know. So just today is this one. Have just moved it rather than copy. Yeah, now it works. So yeah, this is a simple editor. Yeah, and then you can do blah blah, and this is another page. And then I would want to make the links to work like this between pages, but I didn't get to this yet. Yeah, org mode is pretty cool, but again, I want something simple and I want something that I can infinitely extend in a simple way as well. And I mean, org mode is super powerful and I tried it a couple of times, but I just want something simpler. I want, for example, to integrate this with a calendar, so that up here, if I, for example, have a meeting which is called foobar, and I have a page which is called foobar in my knowledge database, then I would, and the meeting comes today, then I would here at the top see that I have a meeting coming and there is a notes for this meeting automatically. and I can see nodes between different days and stuff like that. And what else do I want? I want integration with GitHub. So when I link to a GitHub issue, then it shows me the status, who is assigned and stuff like that, that it can give me an overview of if I put somewhere that I need to remember to follow up on some GitHub issue, that it shows me at the top that I need to follow up and stuff like that. So I have a whole bunch of features that I want this to have. And some of them are relatively simple to implement if you just sit there and hack for a bit. And yeah, just need to get to it. And also I'm learning Flutter as I'm doing it, because I mean, I have been on the Dart team for many years now, almost since Dart has been a thing. And I can write in Dart quite reasonably, but with Flutter it's a different story. I have debugged bugs in the Dart code generation for Flutter, but I have not ever written any Flutter code. Oh, that's well. Why does Dart not have immutable collections? Well, that's because the people who designed the language originally didn't think it was needed, which was, I think, a mistake, of course, but the ship has sailed on that. There is a bug about it somewhere here if we look. Eventually we will revisit this, I think. It's just I have seen this issue just recently. Yeah, there's some context here, but yeah. You can read what Lasse says. I know if Lasse has changed his opinion, but Lasse is the person who owns the core libraries. So I think if we start looking at things like variants, which we are, then there is some tie-in with having a super interface that communicates immutability, or like the immutable super interface of a mutable list. Yeah, so we might revisit this, but again, no guarantees that this will happen. Okay, back to markdown. Yeah, I mean, it's going to be very funny how I durdle around in the Flutter. Like I was trying to figure out how to show an overlay and stuff like that. How to determine the position of a cursor within the text field. Yeah, as I said, I'm not very proficient Flutter programmer. Everything is new to me. But yeah, and also it's not my main job to develop my PKM. My main job is to make sure that the Dart is evolving and works. Okay, I think I will stream for another maybe 10 minutes and then I will go do some exercise. Just need to remember all the things that I have been thinking about here. That's an interesting question. I think it can be interesting to write a lightweight code editor in Flutter and see how it performs. I think the VS Code is they spend a lot of effort to make it work fast, especially the editing component. It is quite good. So you would need to do, I think, a lot of careful engineering to actually match their performance, even if you start with Flutter. But at least you will get rid of JavaScript bloatware. So it will be probably less memory hungry, like for simple things. When of course you load a huge code base in, like what is gonna take more memory, I don't know. But like this simple PKM that I have written, it in release mode it was like 30-40 megabytes, which I suspect most of which is like textures and GPU stuff that the skier or impeller uses. I don't know if the desktop is using impeller, maybe it just uses skier. Yeah. And when I looked at something like Chrome Research or something that uses Electron, then that has like half a gigabyte of memory if you count all the processes, because like when you go for Electron and for Chrome you get this multiprocess mode where you have renderer processes, GPU processes, yeah, the main browser process and all of that stuff. And JavaScript is also not as memory efficient as it could be, right? So it's a complicated question, but it's definitely going to be less memory hungry. Yeah. Okay, what was I writing? Hello. You have me for the next 5 minutes and then I'm out. I have been streaming what? When did I start? Does anybody know? Oh, for 2 hours roughly, yeah. I think 2 hours is a good duration. Today I did not write any C++ code. I was just chatting with people and writing markdown. mean, Flutter works with native APIs, but it's different ways of integrating with different APIs. I think things like embedding web views into the Flutter apps, that might be complicated. I don't know how well that works on desktop. I think maybe even does not work right now, because it requires this puncturing a hole in the rendering. Like the Flutter likes to own the whole rendering surface, and then if you want a piece of your UI to be a native component, then you need to puncture somehow a hole and put the native component into that hole. It's a little bit all over my head because, again, as I said, my knowledge of Flutter architecture ends where Flutter actually begins, because I'm more on the low level of Dart and things like that. I have some understanding, but not deep enough understanding of how this works. But the challenge is that it's just, yeah, the Flutter wants to render every pixel, and then how do you splice the native component into that? There is this render into texture and splice that texture and blah 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 blah. Yeah. Well, you're welcome. Thank you for appreciating it. I mean, we're just doing what we can. I think I have written everything that I thought about. Yeah, Jorvart Math was in another life. It was like, yeah, it was many years ago. Well, 20 years ago soon, I guess, that we started this. Okay. Well, I think I will go now. And I guess see you next Friday if you want to stop by. Also, actually, maybe I should tweet this. I could make a form if people want to ask questions that they want to hear answered in the beginning of the stream. I could make a form for that, and then people could ask me questions. Alternatively, you could also just send me questions on Twitter, and I will answer them on the stream, maybe in the beginning 10 minutes of answering. That maybe is possible. Yeah, well, see you all next week.